The Kizumonogatari trilogy is peak cinema. It is mere perfection when it comes to delivering a beautifully surreal vampire flick. Now, I haven't finished the Monogatari series, I've been watching it on and off for quite a while now. It's a series I find hard to watch in a quick succession due to its heavy use of dialogue to convey the story of any given arc. Now, it may seem sacrilege to hold this opinion, but so far, the Kizumonogatari movies are my favorite part of the story. Kizumono doesn't follow the conventions the rest of the TV anime series is known for. The films are way more action-packed and tell the story in a more direct way, leading it to be way more digestible from an outsider perspective of the series. I do believe watching Bakemonogatari beforehand makes Araragi's Spring Break feel more impactful. Kizumonogatari still offers a lot for people to get a good entryway into the series without completely breaking the watch order. This is by far my favorite adaptation of the series. It is absolutely stunning. The color grading and visual design of Kizumonogatari is unlike anything I've experienced in the anime medium. The Monogatari series as a whole is known for the anime adaptation to have unique background art on top of intricate character designs with this early aughts aesthetic going on. And one key difference with the Kizu movies is its approach to the background art. Instead of the simplified vector illustrations, there is this use of super pristine and large-scale repetitive 3D environments. Both achieved the same goal of making Araragi's perspective seem desolate, with the setting only be inhabited by people he deems worthy of being a part of his life. It's more than just visual differences though, as they hold significance for Araragi's character progression in more of a metaphorical way as well. In the Kizu movies, the backgrounds are juxtaposed against the TV ones mainly because of the timeline in which the stories take place. During the movies, when he gets his vampiric powers, he has the right to live in his world stripped away from it. It's not until the end of the movies where after he forms his contract with Shinobu to where the background art becomes more hospitable, going back to that vector art style. For the most part, the Monogatari series is pretty static, only deviating when big sequences at the height of each arc seem to appear. Not to say that this is a bad thing, as the normal TV anime series has a lot of dialogue and having a lot of motion on screen can make things kind of hard to pay attention to what's being said at the moment. So it works for that series. But for the Kizumonogatari adaptation, it has a higher budget backing it up because it is a theatrical release, so there's a lot more investment into it, leading to a lot more movement to fit into a longer screen time. It's not just the beautiful action sequences against the vampire hunters that leave me in awe, it's all the little character animations and idiosyncrasies each character holds. This is the most expressive the cast has ever felt, not to mention that it was nice seeing a more visually interesting dynamic between Araragi and Hanekawa. While the dialogue in the movies isn't paired with the visual gags or symbolic imagery like it is in the show, the movie series does fill the gap in with just beautiful, stunning animation. I did like how in Bakemono they dropped little slices and hints as to what went down during the infamous Spring Break incident, and it truly had my curiosity piqued, waiting for when the story would be fully relayed to me. While narrative-wise you can totally watch Kizumonogatari first, I do believe that watching Bakemono will lead to a bigger payoff in the experience like it did with me. In the Monogatari series, the apparitions are one of the main focal points of the series, and of course, the arc focusing on the coolest apparition of all of them will no doubt be a big factor as to why I like the story as much as I did. The way Shinobu and just vampires as a whole are dealt with in this series leads to really interesting storyboarding. The brilliance of the combat animation of constantly regenerating limbs and gore galore, it's done with such masterful creativity to a way that it's just so fun to look at. Each time I rewatch, say, the third movie, I get more and more impressed with how much of personality is put into the combat that they have against each other. Shinobu is just such a perfect story-driven tool because she has so many powers at her disposal, and she can create any arc that she wants in the story that the author wants to tell. Kizu arc is broken up into 3 films, making a trilogy, each spanning about an hour in length, and each movie tells one segment of the greater plot of the story. The first movie sets the stage of Araragi meeting Hanekawa, as well as him stumbling upon Shinobu and later becoming a vampire. The goal of the first film is to set a conflict, establish characters, and to give Araragi 2 companions that he can reside in throughout the movies. The second film is pure action as it's focused on him fighting and dealing with the different vampire hunters. One's a pure vampire, the other one's half vampire, and the other one's pure human. And each fight is very distinctive and has its own choreography and depth to it. The final movie concludes with Araragi and his confrontation with Shinobu and their big brawl against each other. This movie resolves the conflict, sorta, not really in an ideal outcome, but it leads to the beginning of Monogatari in a pretty seamless fashion. These movies are quick and have no wasted time and makes them infinitely rewatchable, especially the second movie where all 3 of the fights are perfectly paced together with a little over an hour, and there's still moments for Hanekawa and Araragi to confront each other and keep a breather between all the action. There's definitely a primal approach to the conflict in the story in this series compared to the rest. With apparitions being a very new thing to Araragi, his way of approaching it is very emotional driven compared to the philosophical outlook that the rest of the TV series has. I really liked seeing this because after Oshino parts in the TV series, Araragi becomes more than capable with dealing with the new problems that arise in the cases at hand. This is probably one of the more important arcs for Araragi as it shaped the way he is now on the show. Another small detail that I love is the rendition of the cram school in the Kizu series. It feels so stupidly massive, there's so much empty space and it has this labyrinth feeling to it, as if they discovered upon some ancient ruins. Cram school is a setting the series gives a lot of significance to, and seeing it in its prime early on in the story, it makes sense. Seeing it wither away as the course of the story progresses and Oshino isn't needed as much, they frequent there less, so it only makes sense that its visual design also gets less significance. To give insight to where I'm at currently for the series, I just finished Monogatari's 2nd season, and I'm about to watch the Hana Monogatari movie, so there is still a lot of content for me to get through. Now, I will say that Kizumonogatari is probably the most accessible and open of any of the arcs in the series, but I still don't think this is a show that everyone can get into. I have a high tolerance for watching shows like this, but even at some points, I can't even recommend this on a good day. This is definitely something I need to be in the mood to watching, otherwise I'll just not enjoy my time, so I'm very selective of when I want to throw it on. I think there are 2 very different vibes going on between the Kizu movie and the rest of the TV anime, and it's kind of like a pick your choice. Personally, I love both of them. I just think the movie just caters to my taste a little more than the TV series does. I hope you guys can take this with a grain of salt because I am a newcomer to the series and I am taking my damn sweet time trying to finish this because I want to have a good impact on it, so I'm not just going to trudge through it if I'm not having a good time at my current moment. I don't think if I were to finish it, my opinion of the movies would change. I still think I love them as much as I did, and I finished it a while back, and ever since then there's been a lot on my mind I want to get off about them, so I figured I'd make the video now more than later. So yeah, that's why I think the Kizu trilogy is peak cinema. Thank you, and have a good one.